Okay, I'm just gonna crush this game. Just totally crushed.
Hans Niemann has risen through the ranks on chess.com to become a top 3 Blitz player in the world. Only Magnus and Hikaru stand ahead of him. But Danya Naroditsky, his opponent this game, is also no slouch. A top 5 player in the world, an incredible speed beast. So when Hans does this to Danya, you've got to sit up and take notice. Now this was played on chess.com, 3-minute chess, back in September 23. Incredible game here. So c4 played. We get e5 by Danya, a Sicilian in reverse in response to this English opening. Now we get g3, preparing to fianchetto the bishop. We're looking at it from Danya's point of view, of course. Knight c6 develops, bishop g2, and now bishop c5. Aggressive diagonal. Knight c3 and d6. You got this one outside the pawn chain. It's an activated bad bishop, but still can't retreat. That's why we call it the bad bishop here. On its own colour pawn chain. e3 now played. A nice spiky pawn structure set up. Preparing d4. Very flexible. a6 gives the bishop some retreat room. We get knight g to e2. More support of d4. Leaves the sniper with its eyes open here. This bishop now preemptively retreats and d4 is played. Knight g to e7. Another great move. Keeping some flexibility around this pawn. And if d5 is played, not a good move. Well, yes, you kick the knight, but it recycles like this. It's coming into the game, and you've just opened up this bishop. f5 on the way. So, d5 not played. Hans becomes a b3 cowboy here, prepares to fianchetto the second bishop. We get castles, bishop b2, takes on d4 now. Why is Danya giving white this big centre, lots of central squares controlled? Well, this is his follow-up point. He wants to pressure this pawn. Again, he loved d5. Then he finds a square here. You can just hear this bishop screaming. And so that's why Hans does not play d5. We rewind, he plays knight d5. Excellent move. The bishop now defends the pawn. It's well covered 3 times, but after rook e8, pinning the knight to the king, you have to respond to the threat or the pawn will drop. So castles, very natural. We get knight c to e7 now, challenging this strong piece. Both players playing perfect chess at this point, and now this is so typical of Hans's style. He could take here, queen captures, and then start developing his other pieces. Maybe knight f4 and you bring the rooks in, or an immediate rook e1, and so on. But he retreats the knight. He loves to keep pieces on the board, create tense, complicated positions. Knight c6 back from Danya, offering a repetition, but Hans doesn't go for it. He goes knight e4 now. So the pawn's still defended, a new attacking square is being used, and now Danya doesn't find the right plan here. The best move is probably once again to go knight c to e7. I say probably, there's always various kind of plans here, but this is a nice straightforward one. You prepare d5. Obviously, if white goes d5, you open the bishop as mentioned, the black bishop. Yes, you open the white bishop, but okay, black gets play. However, that was not played. We see bishop d7 played by Danya, and things start getting passive because queen d2 now played. Always connect your rooks. Knight c to e7 here, but the bishop now blocks the queen. Not so easy to achieve d5. And after knight f4, this next move is just begging for it. Danya should go knight g6 immediately, but he plays bishop c6, like, come at me bro, push your pawn, open my bishop, I dare ya. Hans says, okay bro, I'm pushing. They definitely didn't both say bro, but maybe they thought it. The bishop drops back, and yes, now Danya has an activated sniper here, but Hans has got the same. And look at these knights, as Hikaru would say. They are poised, looking over the battlements, prepared to invade the castle. So what does Hans do? He lands knight h5, looking at those tender dark squares, and now listen to Danya here.
Okay, I'm just getting crushed this game. Just totally crushed.
And he's absolutely correct. That loss of tempo with bishop here and back was critical. Now we see knight g6 from Danya. He's hating it. He sees the knockout just as Hans lands it. Can you find the move? You maybe saw it in the thumbnail, maybe not. Test your attacking skills. It's a brilliant C on the game review. How do you keep throwing fuel on the fire? Well done if you found this knight hopping into f6 with check. Let me just go back. You can maybe do either knight, but okay, this is the best one. Now we see takes. The knight recaptures. The king sidesteps this way. If you go this way, you're walking into the bishop's diagonal. Discovered checks. Not good. So the king sidesteps. Check. King back. Check. Hans does not want to draw. So in this position, let me scroll and get more moves. He now plays a great attacking combination, and it's all to do with the fact that the queen wants access to the h6 square to check the king. But the knight covers. So let's remove the defender, right? g4. There goes Gary the g-pawn. Knocking down the door. The debt collectors have arrived. Now what to do, right? Because if you retreat somewhere like, knight g7 or something, well, yes, the queen's invading, but all the forces now start joining the party. All the white pieces are on top of black, paralyzing, very difficult to break out. So going back here, Danya goes for a tricky line with knight to e3. If you capture that knight, not played, well then this bishop comes to life with check and the queen drops off the board. Not the way to go. So of course, Hans did not capture, but the move he did play is not precise. He goes for rook f to e1. Switch to Danya now after Hans has just made what is basically a blunder, but Danya thinks it's a great move. Listen to this.
So smooth. Conversions are just incredible.
But it's actually a mistake for the way Danya plays for a moment. What Hans should have played is brought the other rook. It's some deep stuff. But that was the way to go. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole. However, this one was played. Now Danya goes knight e5 to blunt this bishop. We see knight takes on e8 played. The queen was now hitting that knight. It was no longer defended. But does Danya recapture? No. He plays a blunder of a move here. Right idea, wrong execution. So he picks up this knight to move it, but he should take this pawn to cover the h6 square from the queen invasion. This is the way to go. Now the line continues. You can take here and then here, and now you can kick the knight. Now what are you doing? Well, there's takes here with check. The line goes on right, the rook recaptures, pieces dropping, but when the smoke clears, things are level. 5 pawns each, level material, open game. Who knows what happens? But we do not see knight 3 takes on g4. We see knight takes on g2 here. Looks so logical to move the knight and win a piece, but there is this critical check on h6. This is crushing because after king captures here, different ways to win, but Hans goes for this very direct one. Eliminate the defender in front of the king. Pawn recaptures, not played, but if it was, well, the rook crashes through, and what to do but start giving up pieces. You get something like this, the attack rages on, it's just horrendous. So, coming back to this position here, after bishop takes on e5, pawn recaptures not played, we see Danya taking on e1, but he very instantly realizes what he's done. So does Hans. We get check and resignation. Why? Well, the king has only got one square, and this then lands a checkmate using the power of the pawn alongside the queen and bishop. That is crushing. So this the final position, a 28 move crush there. I really enjoyed this game. Smash subscribe if you haven't done already, because I've got loads more of these awesome blitz battles between the top interesting guys on the way. Thanks very much for watching. For another epic game, check out the video on screen and see you soon.